Good evening, Guardians, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Short Pause Presents Tower Talk. I'm Ben on the other end of the microphone. That's Brent. You know who we are. We're here on behalf of Short Pause. www.shortpause.com is the website. Follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. You can keep up with everything that we do here. Tower Talk is our Destiny-focused video discussion series. Brent, where you and I hop on here. We talk any and everything in the world of Destiny. Have a damn fine time doing it. Per usual, we had lots of stuff to discuss on tonight's episode. How you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. Been a busy week. Did a lot of grinding this week. Got some gaming in. Spent just a ridiculous amount of time on Tuesday playing Destiny 2, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. And Jacob, what's up? Jacob's in the chat, the Master
Jacob?
Roaster. Jacob has just been giving me the business this week, dude. Jacob is he's fun though, man. I love him in the chat. I just like putting him in timeout once in a while. But no, dude, life has been good. Work's been busy, but yeah, man, spent a lot of time grinding on Tuesday, and I got some good stuff out of it.
Yeah, extremely busy week. Mostly from a personal perspective for myself. Haven't been able to do too much gaming, but did get a few nights in with Destiny this week. Obviously, the big item on the docket, Black Armory, is now live. It's the first of this brave new annual pass world that Bungie is charting for themselves with Destiny 2 Forsaken. So Season of the Forge started a week and a half ago. Black Armory went live as of Tuesday. So, the new weapons are in the game. We got these new activities. The raid went live today. So there's lots of stuff going on in the world of Destiny. So first and foremost, Brent, I want to talk about what's been going on in the game for us. So the Black Armory went live. We touched a little bit on Season of the Forge last week, but what have you been up to, man? Like, what's been going on since Tuesday, since Black Armory went live? What have you been up to? What have you been earning? Like, what's your initial impressions of what we're doing with Black Armory here in this first week?
Well, Black Armory dropped, and on Tuesday hopped in there and spent a lot of time going through the quest to actually unlock the first forge. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. And there's one step in the quest I really like where you have to take down powerful enemies. And, man, if you were looking for a lot of action in the escalation protocol, this was the week to do it. And it probably will be for the next couple of weeks because everyone knew, hey, I needed 25 powerful enemies killed. The escalation protocol spot was the place to be. I mean, I went there. I must have landed on Mars I don't know how many times, and there was escalation protocol running with like 4 to 7 people in there. I mean, it was a packed house. There was a lot of people playing it, so it was really, really good to see. But yeah, then once I got to the Forge and hopped in there, we discovered right away, much like the rest of the community, that it was not a very accessible activity at the start. You had to be the recommended power level for the first wave, anyways, was 615. And I got in there, I played it through a couple times, and only like once or twice when I was in there with some people who actually had an idea of what they were doing. They were like 605 or something like that. We got past the first section of the Forge. But when the second one popped in, man, we just got our asses handed to us. So, but yeah, so we actually haven't beaten the Forge since they've dropped the power level. We haven't had a chance to get in there to do it yet. Hopefully, we're going to get to that this weekend. But it was cool to hop in there and see the Black Armory and talk to Ada and kind of explore that area. A lot of mysterious stuff going on in the Forge as well too. There's a lot of people talking about it on Reddit. Lots of items laying around, things that you can't quite interact with just yet. There's a mysterious quest or an exotic quest that people have started to make their way through. But, no, a lot of good stuff in here, man.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like you mentioned, the Black Armory is open now. It's in the dark recesses of the tower. We meet Ada 1 down there, who is our vendor. And she's got some cool wares, by the way. I can't wait to actually complete the Forge and unlock some of the things that she's able to do. She looks like she has, some different bounties you can do. She sells mod components to buy these mods. So when Banshee is selling those super mods, and you're like, damn it, I need some mod parts. You go down to Ada and get some mod parts to make that happen. So she looks like she's going to be a very useful vendor. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't actually done any of the Black Armory stuff yet, so I went into the game, did the initial kind of introduction to the Black Armory, see a brief cutscene, and you kind of get a brief little snippet about the Black Armory, nothing that we didn't already know. Their Golden Age relics, create some of the best weapons, yada yada yada, and then we gotta go out, try to unlock the forges once again so that we can create some of these badass weapons that they speak of. So got that initial thing out of the way, and now I have the quest, which is to get like the first machine gun that you get your hands on
Yep.
for going through that quest. So I haven't done that yet. Haven't even participated in the Forge activity, partly because everything I read about that activity when it first came out is you will not be able to do this. Don't even bother. So we got like you said, the recommended power level for that first wave of the Forge is 615, and then it escalates from there. So once we get to wave 2, it's like 620, 625. Once you
Mm-hmm.
get to the boss wave, you're looking at like a recommended level of like 630. So
Mm-hmm.
it for those of you that don't have 3 characters going, you're not farming powerful engrams on the regular. It's gonna take a little bit of time before you're powerful enough to get through one of those forge activities. And right away, Brent, this became a big issue in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So it became a divisive issue as well. So there were people on both sides of the argument here. So so like I said, for myself personally, like I jumped into the game on Tuesday. I really did want to try one of the forges on Tuesday. I thought we were going to be able to hop in there, participate in this activity, see what it's all about. Even if we got our ass kicked, it is what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
this first part of this like end game content.
Right.
But I didn't get in there, didn't get a chance to experience it. I was kind of scared away by the feedback that I was reading in the community. So we spent our update time doing powerful engrams, doing Crucible, doing Gambit, that kind of stuff, like working towards getting some powerful engrams and leveling ourselves up. So on the one side of the equation here, Brent, with the Black Armory controversy, let's get into this. So on the one hand, we have a brand new piece of DLC. Bungie's like, this is the new end game activity associated with this DLC. It's this Forges end game activity. It's a wave based horde mode type of activity, and it's an end game activity. You're expected to be at end game levels to participate in this activity. The new power level with this activity is 650. So um, where the community struggled with this at first, and I understand where they're coming from on this, is that this activity was basically inaccessible. And in a piece of DLC where, I mean, I guess you would call this DLC. This is a whole other angle to this, Brent, is the fact that Bungie has flipped the script on what we can expect from content updates with
Mm-hmm.
Destiny. So this is their first stab at this annual pass method of content delivery, and it's going to take some getting used to for not only Bungie but for us as well as gamers. We need to understand this is going to operate a little bit differently than what we've received in the past. We're used to getting an update like Warmind. We get a brand new mini campaign. We get new end game activities like escalation protocol. We get a new raid. We get strikes. We get all this stuff that gets added in the game, and it gets added in all at the same time. So one of the things we need to adjust to with the annual pass is that we are going to be fed content on a weekly basis.
Right.
So we're going to get one forge this week. The next forge started today. The raid started today. There's going to be another forge coming up. We've got the dawning. We've got exotic quests that are on the calendar. So all these things that are going to be coming on the pipeline over the next 3 months in order to keep us invested in the game for the long haul. Um, I'm trying not to get off on too many tangents here because there's a lot of different aspects with this.
Uh-huh.
But so we have the content delivery. We have this new Forge activity that's supposed to be an endgame activity. But the main complaint from the community is that, look, like this is the main piece of content with Black Armory, and we can't even play it. And we can't get in there. And if we're lucky, we get into a group with some people that are strong enough that have somewhat of an idea what to do, and maybe we get past the first wave. But after that, it's we're just getting wasted. So
Mm-hmm.
even that said, there were people that grinded out power requirements and they were able to complete that first forge activity. Like that kind of stuff was going on as well. But I understand the people that were like, I wanna experience this new content. I'm excited about this update to the game. And instead what I get a brief cutscene with Ada and I'm sent off on a quest that I can't really complete. I can't really complete this quest until I go out and I do the activities I've been doing in this game for the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. I was excited to get into the Forge as well, and there was a little bit of a buzzkill in that you can't comfortably jump to the Forge and at least have a fighting chance in that activity without going through and leveling your character up. So on the other end of the spectrum, though, Brent, it's what we were talking about. It's like this is an end game activity. This is the point of the annual pass and the point of Destiny Forsaken going forward. It's doubling down on the end game which is what the community loves. So we love the grind at the end game. We love grinding for the powerful weapons, doing the ultra challenges that this game has to offer. So there's a group in the community that's like, look, we understand this is an end game activity. We understand that the power level did not rise to 650 until Black Armory dropped. So there was no way for us to get prepared for this end game activity other than doing other activities that we typically do. So there's people, like I said, that were going through and they were getting the forges done. They were finding a way to make it happen. So there's a lot of moving parts with this, Brent. I want to get your thoughts on this, though. Where do you fall on this controversy? Like, what's your thoughts on everything that's going on with Black Armory? And I'll read the statement here from Bungie in a second. But let me just get your initial thoughts on what was going on with Black Armory here with the forges.
When I entered the forge and found out right away this is going to be very difficult, that I need to power myself up, it immediately reminded me of Escalation Protocol. When that first came out, you and I weren't up to snuff. We weren't where we needed to be in power, and we got wrecked. We'd make it, maybe past the first round, and immediately you and I were like, well, we're gonna have to go farm powerful engrams. We're gonna have to go knock out challenges. We're gonna have to hope some prime engrams drop. We're gonna have to do all this stuff to rank our characters up. But that's cool. I don't want to blast through this. I want this to last me a while. I understand the purpose of grinding and working for powerful engrams. I like that part of Destiny 2. I don't want to hop in to an end game event and knock it out on the first day. That does nothing for me. I don't want to sit there and just blast through this stuff because this has to last us until March. And yes, they got stuff, dropping in here and there, but I just don't want to go through stuff quickly. And I don't mind if it says, hey, you got to go into Gambit and do this. Cool. I like playing Gambit. I'll go do that. That's fine. But, Bungie mentioned before, this all came out saying, look, this is very similar. This is very similar to Escalation Protocol. This is an end game event. This is supposed to be very, very difficult. They said, look, prime engrams are going to drop more frequently, and they are. They're dropping a lot. The other day on Tuesday, I think I got anywhere between 5 to 7 prime engrams dropping throughout the day. And so, you got those, you've got the daily challenges, you've got the weekly challenges. You're going to rank up quickly. You're going to get to where you need to be. Just because the recommended power is 615 doesn't mean you can't beat it under 615. If you get to 610 or anything like that, you're going to be competitive. You're going to hang on. You're going to do well, especially if you have a group that you can coordinate with. I like that part of Destiny 2. I like having to have to go out and grind. What I don't like, man, is this damn community. And I love them. I love the community. We're all a part of the same group. But, for the longest time, they bitched and complained because, we don't have enough stuff to do. And, we blew through everything and yada. Make it go back. Give us our hobby back. And they come out with Forsaken, and boom, we got our hobby back. And then here comes Black Armory. Boom, we got to grind some more of a hobby. No, I want to be able to beat this day one. Like, look, dude, I understand that, this is an annual passing, and this is something that people want to be able to get to right away. Do not strip me of my grind, of my hobby, just to appease the vocal minority who are pissed they can't beat it in day one. That's not what I played Destiny 2 for. The same community that bitched about not having enough stuff to do and getting stuff too quickly came out and bitched about this being too hard. Man, I'm sorry, that annoys me. This community sometimes, it's just like, dude, what do you guys want from this game? What do you seriously want from this game? Do you want to beat it right now? Or do you want to have that grind? I don't mind going out into the world and doing strike missions and doing Crucible and all that stuff to earn powerful engrams. I don't mind that. When has that all of a sudden become a problem to have to go back and do stuff that's already been in the game? You've been doing it since the game's launched. All of a sudden, Black Armory drops, and I don't want to do strikes. I don't want to play Gambit. I just want to go in here and beat this. I'm sorry, that annoys me. That irks me. And the fact that Bungie came out and dropped the power level, I think you and I can appreciate the fact that they can do that at the drop of a hat. They can do that quickly. That's very, very impressive. But I hope this does not set a precedent that the community can go out and bitch, and Bungie's going to start making stuff easier. I really don't want them to do that. I don't want them to take away my hobby, man. If they make things easier, I'm going to get through it quicker, and then we're going to be right back to square one. Well, nothing comes out until March. I've already beat all the forges. I'm not getting not enough content here. It's just like, where do you draw the line? Where's the happy medium for this community, dude? That's the only thing that really pisses me off about all this.
It's the old damned if you do, damned if you don't, man. It's a vital part of the video game world these days. But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, man. I know, like I certainly don't want like the end game, the signature end game activity of Black Armory to be too easy. Like I want this to be a challenging thing that we can do week after week and grind for like rolls on these weapons and that kind of stuff. Like that's something I'm looking forward to. So I don't want this to be an easy thing, and I think Bungie understands that. And I'll read what their solution was to this problem in 1 second here. So I think that they understand that to a to a large degree, that people, they want the end game to be challenging here. Well, and but at the same token, I do understand a little bit where some of these people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have gone about it the wrong way, of course, but some people have intelligently delivered their beef with this,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand what the issue is, and it goes back to something I just talked about a minute ago with us needing to adjust and also Bungie needing to adjust to the fact that this annual pass system of delivery is much different than what we've come to expect from this game. And it's hard when you've been playing a game for 5 years and you expect certain things, even if Bungie tells you to they're blue in the face. Like, this is going to be different. Do not expect what you expected before. Even then, we're talking 5 years of content updates here with this game. It's just ingrained in our mind about what we expect from a new content drop with Destiny. So when Black Armory comes around and this first week of activity here, the signature activity, the Forge activity, you cannot participate in, and you basically have to go and partake in your regular vanilla Forsaken content, and you can't do any of the Black Armory stuff. It's a little bit of a buzzkill. Like, I get it. I totally understand that. I wanted to play the Forges too. Like, I get it. So I think there is a happy medium to find here. And let me just read what Bungie's solution was. We'll decide if this is the happy medium or not. Effective immediately, we've made some changes to the power requirements for the Lost Forges of the Black Armory. In previous and mind you, this is a day after Black Armory came out, so we're talking immediate response to the community, which is actually really neat. In previous conversations about the Season of the Forge, we discussed our new development goals. With the annual pass, we set out to deliver an extension to the Destiny 2 endgame. We want to create a series of aspirational challenges to keep your hobby fresh. Over the past day, we've been taking in your feedback. It's become clear that we made the initial power requirements for the Lost Forges too high, keeping those sweet new rewards out of reach. Some players at 600 power have been unable to dive in and beat the final boss without grinding for new power first. We have just delivered a server-side update to reduce the power requirements for all the encounters in the Lost Forges by 5. We fully acknowledge that this is a small move, but it is one that we can make today. This is not the full extent of the changes to the player experience that we are investigating, but it should give Guardians at 600 power a better chance at completing the activity. This response doesn't answer all of your questions. There are still many of you asking how you can catch up and acquire the power you need to join the quest to recover these Lost Forges. The answers to those questions are coming. We have some existing plans and some new ideas in the pipeline. That conversation will continue in this week at Bungie, which we'll talk about momentarily here in terms of what else they've got cooking for this. So that's what's going on. So the power levels dropped by 5. So that initial encounter, instead of being 615, now it's 610. The second encounter, instead of being 625, is 620, so on and so forth. Up to the boss wave and whatever that one. I think it was 630 initially, so I guess it's 625 now is going to be the requirement for it. So that's what's going on, Brent. And just what I'm getting at here is, in the past, when we've had a content update like Warmind, we've had things to do prior to the end game. So with something like Escalation Protocol, yeah, we couldn't jump into that at first. No question about it. We saw it going on in the world when we were running around. We're like, man, that looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait till we can do that. Hell, let's hop in there and see what it's all about. You wiped out the first wave. All right, clearly we're not ready for this. Let's try to get our power level. But with the previous updates, we had brand new things to participate in. We had a Warmind campaign to participate in. We had brand new strikes to participate in. Yeah, the campaign was crap.
Okay, I'll give you the strikes. Well, let's not use the Warmind campaign as other stuff to do.
In a strange plot twist, the strikes and the campaign are actually one and the same in that DLC. So we had campaigns, we had strikes to do, we had a brand new space to explore in Mars, new adventures, yada yada yada. The point is, there were things to do other than the signature endgame activity in Escalation Protocol. Now, With Lost Forges, we don't have that. We don't have another piece of Black Armory to participate in. So that's what I'm getting at when I say we need to adjust our expectations as players. But Bungie also needs to think about this a little bit as the developers when they release this content. Yeah, we want the end game, but also we want to be able to participate in this new updates in these new updates when they go live. Like, this is exciting for us. This is a game we play nonstop, morning and night, every single moment that we can. And as players, when there's a new piece of content that's going to be available, like, we get excited about that stuff. So there has to be a happy medium here. Like, is this power requirement the happy medium that we need? I don't know. Maybe there's a bridge quest that we see in the future that bridges the gap between when the DLC starts and getting us rolling at least towards the power level that we need. Just some piece of content that we can sink our teeth into when these updates go live, so that we're not sitting here like, oh man, I'm really excited about this, but I guess I'll just go do what I've been doing for the past 3 months. Like, I get that. But at the same token, if it's between doing that or between getting an easier like end game activity that we'll get to participate in right away, like, I'm taking the first option all day. I'm taking grinding for power, building our character up, and then tackling these end game activities. So I get all that. So with all that said, Brent, your thoughts on Bungie's solution with this? Is this the right solution? If not, like, where do we go from here? Like, what should they look at when we see like Joker's Wild come out, for instance, and the power level increases again? What do we need to see from Bungie moving forward in regards to this?
First, before I'm going to come back a little bit just by the stuff you were saying, and I understand what you're saying about not having the certain content there to kind of keep you busy to rank up. But my thinking is, and maybe it's different than everyone else's, is in that mindset, it makes me sound like people are like, well, this other stuff is obsolete. But that's not the case. Like, I like playing Gambit. I love going in there. And the other thing is, you've got pinnacle weapons you can earn. And those things, the breakneck and the what's the
loaded question.
Mountain a lot of those things are tied to events that give you powerful engrams and that you can earn prime engrams. So yes, you can't go play the end game content, but there is new stuff. Maybe not events, but new stuff that you could be earning. And at the same time, trying to earn that, working towards that, you're still going to get your daily challenges, your weekly challenges, and prime engrams throughout. So that's my thinking is like, look, just because I can't do it doesn't mean there's nothing new for me to not just do, but work towards. I'm fine with that. I got my breakneck. Now I'm working on, I'm working on, what's it called again? The loaded
loaded question.
Loaded question. That's the next thing that I'm working on. So if I'm in there grinding these strikes, and which you can get through very, very quickly now at your power level. And you're earning prime engrams and you're earning your daily and weekly challenges. Wow, look at next thing you know, oh look, I'm close enough where I can actually go do the event. That's my thinking of it is, yeah, there might not be a whole lot of new events, but there is new items and stuff to go out and earn. And that's why I don't feel like it should be just like, well, everything else is obsolete. I have to go play this. I want to play. This is the only thing worth playing. That's not the case. There's other stuff worth playing because there's items that you can earn that are worth getting. So that's just my take on it. When I hear people say like, well, I got to go back and do this other stuff. There's stuff waiting for you doing the other stuff, and in the process, you're going to earn the powerful engrams that you need to rank up. It's just I feel like Bungie did a really good job keeping the other events relevant. And keeping people going to that. So I think they did a really good job with this. I like the fact that the power level was a little bit higher because hey, that's fine. I'm going to go back and earn this in the process. I'm going to focus on this, earn my engrams, and possibly a pinnacle weapon. So for me, that's why I just don't have a problem with what they did. And I feel like there is plenty to do outside of the forges right now. But in terms of like lowering the power level, no, I mean, I think that's the most they should do. I don't want to, but I do like what you mentioned, like like a bridge quest where like, had we gone into the forges, into the Black Armory, she's like, okay, do this quest. And you go somewhere and it's like a mini forge or something like that. And you play through it and it kind of teaches you how to beat it. And then you do beat it and cool, you get a new piece of powerful gear that's from the Black Armory. And then, okay, so now you got to like, and make it kind of like the horror story. You go in there and you knock out this little mini mission that kind of gives you an idea how the forge works. And then boom, you get like a 612 or like a 615 power weapon. Or a weapon of some sort that can raise your light level kind of like the horror story did. And then it kind of makes you a little bit closer, and then you go in there and you're doing okay. So that's something I would like to see them do. I think that would be a good move. I think that's probably something they could have used here, and hopefully that's something they'll do with Joker's Wild.
Yeah. Something else we talked about here is how easy it was for them to change the power level on this activity.
Mm-hmm.
It was like basically they just went in just changed the slider. Seems like what this one's 605. Let's just slide it right down to 600. It's just that easy. It's like
Server-side updates.
yeah, it's like the Thanos finger snap. Boom, and power level changes. So with that, Brent, like maybe an even better idea would have been to start that first forge at a level where it, I think the reason people had more of an issue with this than we think would typically be justified is the fact that people were at max light level coming into this activity at 600 and they couldn't participate in Black
Technically,
Armory at all.
It wasn't max level.
It was max light level until Black
until
Armory
it came
dropped.
out.
Yeah,
Right.
until Black Armory dropped. So that's part of what's going on with this.
And see, and not to cut you off, that's the other thing I
Yeah.
had an issue with. The light level recommendation of this is 615. It's 650 is the new light level. You're going to
Yep.
get to it quickly. You're going to rank up, and with all the powerful engrams, by the time you get to 650, dude, some of these forges are going to be obsolete. They're going to be super easy to do. That's why I like the fact that it's a little bit more difficult, because it's going to take some time to get to it. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? I don't want to just get to 650 and blow this stuff away. I want to enjoy the grind, the battle, and working for stuff. That's just what I dig about Destiny, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just to be clear, I agree with you. Like I'm on the side where I didn't have a problem with what they were doing with Black Armory. I actually like that we have to grind, prepare ourselves for this activity, and it is challenging, and it's something that we can aspire towards. And like you said, we have pinnacle weapons to work towards. I can go play Gambit, I can go play Crucible, I can go play Strikes, I can still go do the flashpoints and all the stuff that we love to do. Like that stuff's still all there. So I didn't have a problem with this at all. I was like, cool, new end game activity. Let's build towards this. I understand where people are coming from with wanting to get into this content when it drops. So what I'm thinking is maybe an even better strategy would have been, seeing as how easy it is for them to change the power levels on this. Like why not ramp up the power levels of these forges? So start that first one where you got 605, 610, 615. We got another forge that came out this week. Let's bump it up to 610, 615, 620. Next forge comes out. Let's go 620, 625, 630, and we can ramp up the forges as each of these new forges comes onto the scene. And by the time we get to that last forge, like let's have a 650 forge, and then I believe these forges are going to be on a 4-week rotation after that once all 4 of them drop. So at that point, once we've escalated up to that last forge, and then we cycle back through these other forges, and they can then be at max level. They can deliver appropriate rewards, and they'll be appropriately challenging for people that have gone through and done the raid and got their power level up and all that stuff. Like if it's that easy to change the power level, like why not do that? Why not escalate the power levels with this activity? That way everybody's happy. We get to participate in it when we're initially getting started. We're getting cool items, we're getting new Black Armory things, we're having fun with the DLC. And then each week we're being introduced to a new challenge. It's a new forge, a new activity, and it's even more challenging than the last forge we tackled, all the way up to the final forge, which is a max power level forge. And then from there on out, every time we go into the forge, it's going to be a max power level forge. Like something like that, to me, makes a whole lot of sense if it's this easy to change the power level on those things. And what's to stop them from adding like a heroic version of the forge down the line?
Right, that's the thing I was thinking. Maybe that's something they implement after they go through the cycle at the very end, because there still might be people who aren't up to where they need to be. So you'd still have the rotation, and you would have the base level one there for the people who have to earn, but then for like the good gear, the good stuff, have a heroic version for that real challenge, for that good, like a pinnacle Black Armory weapon if they ever make one.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, that doesn't makes a lot of sense, man. If it's this easy to change the power level, Brent, if it's just a slider or whatever it is they did, where the next day they're like, whoop, taking that power level down, why not do it that way? Am I missing something here?
No, I mean if they have that ability, I'm sure it makes things a lot easier for them trying to figure out solutions like this. So that's awesome for them.
Yeah, and obviously what this means is that just as easily as they can take the power level down, they can just as easily shoot it back up. So if we get to a point where the forges are becoming too easy, or we're getting up in power level and they need to jack the power level up on these, it sounds like it's pretty easy to do that if they have to. So
got a question for you from Jacob. He says,
Yeah.
okay, so heroic forges, and they drop the curated roles of the Black Armory weapons. Yay or nay?
Yeah, I like that. What I would like even more so is if there's like a rare chance of them dropping the curated version of those weapons. So, maybe there's something similar to like the strike loot or whatever.
Right.
There's a chance, a chance that we can get the curated role, but it's not guaranteed every time. But yeah, I love that. I would love if that was a part of this whole thing.
I'm jealous of him right now. He just got the Gwizzin vest.
Oh man.
I know. I want that thing so bad.
Yeah. There's lots of dominant exotic armor pieces out there right now that you and I need to get our hands on, Brent. And
got the Oath Keeper. Now I just need the Wish Ender.
Yeah,
I can get the Oath Keeper with the Wish Ender and Crucible. Oh Lord.
Yeah, I am waiting for the Geomag stabilizers to drop for me. That's the piece of gear I want to get my hands on. It's almost a must wear if you're using the Chaos Reach Blue Beam of Death super with the Warlock. So I continue my search for that. But yeah. So overall, Brent, where are we at with the forges right now? Are we happy with where this is at? Are we happy with kind of where we sit right now? And then we'll just have to see how things play out moving forward.
I can't really say because I haven't gone back in since they made the change, so I don't know if because I know this. Look, it was really, really tough that first wave. It was incredibly tough. More times than not, we didn't even get past it. But there were a couple groups that I got with that we got past it. It was very satisfying. It was like awesome. That was a good battle. And then the second group just absolutely wrecked us. So I'll be curious to see how well it works. This time around. I just hope it's not something that Bungie will consistently do all the time, just dropping power. Hopefully this is just a one-time thing, and then they can plan what to do in the future so they don't have to worry about having to make adjustments, because I don't want that, dude. I don't want every time something tough comes out, the community gets pissy and Bungie has to lower difficulty and cut into my hobby. And I know you like the hobby. Hell, I know Jacob likes the hobby. We like the grind, and I don't want stuff I don't want just stuff knocked down and made super easy because a couple people are bitching about it. That doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. Definitely. And just to put a bow on this discussion, here's what Bungie updated us on yesterday and this week at Bungie with regards to power. So these forges are meant to be aspirational extensions of the end game, but we did want to make them more accessible to Guardians around 600 power. For some of you, the enemies guarding the Lost Forges are immune to your weapons. We promised more details for players who are still working their way up to 600 and beyond. Here's what we have planned to help you move more quickly up to 600. Prime engrams will now drop more frequently and with larger power bumps for players under 600 power. So if you remember, Brent, when this whole thing started, when Season of the Forge started, players under 550 were getting a bump in how often prime engrams drop. Now they've taken that all the way up to 600 to get people more prime engrams to get their power up to snuff. That's a huge jump there.
Yeah,
because the grind from 550 to 600 is significant.
Yes, it
and
is.
to get a boost in prime engrams is really going to help players hit that level that much quicker. This change is planned to land in the 2.1.2 update on December 11th. So this will go live on Tuesday for those of you under 600. We're also considering additional changes to assist with the power climb in a future update. We'll continue to monitor your feedback on Season of the Forge as it continues. So that's interesting, Brent. The question for me that stems out of this is this what Bungie should do? Like, for those of us that get Forsaken on day one and we get into the grind, like, we understand like that's going to be a tough 3 months of like grinding through the game. But if you're a new player, and let's say you just picked up Forsaken, and all your buddies are now in Season of the Forge, they're doing the Lost Forges, they're having fun with these 650 activities. As a new player, do you feel like you want to do everything in your power to get up to that level as quickly as you can? So is this the right move to give people easier ways to get that power level boosted?
I think it is, because the people that have been playing from the beginning, they're already at max power level by the time Black Armory comes out. So they're the hardcore. They understand the grind, and they put in their time. But then you got to think about, I'm not going to say the casuals. Some of them are casuals, some of them are hardcores who are new to that are new to the game. And like you said, they want to get caught up with their friends and stuff like that. And plus, they do want to still be able to do the end game activity. If they play through the story quickly with their friends and whatnot, they want to get power level up so they can do everything. So I think it's good to cater to that audience, the new people, whether they're casual or hardcore that are new to the game. But like everybody else, dude, you, me, Jacob, and all the other guys that we play with, we're on every other night, going late into the night. We understand. Anytime a new content drop comes out, more than likely we're gonna be at max level. We're gonna be at max light. We're gonna be ready to go. We're gonna be ready to do the grind for the next session. But for the new people, yes, absolutely. I think that's a good thing to have in there for them to kind of rank up quickly, because eventually what's gonna happen is they're gonna rank up quickly, and then it's gonna level off, and they're gonna kind of start to experience their own grind.
Yep. Yeah, and I love this, man. I think this is great. So when a new piece of content comes out, I would love it if anybody that's under the current or the former max light level were given access to more prime engrams to try and boost their progress. I really like that. I think that's a really good solution for those people that are just hopping into the game. Gives them more of a chance to get up to speed and get up to snuff and get to where their buddies might be, or to get into those like new endgame activities. So I really like that. Hopefully Bungie continues to do stuff like that, but I think that'll be well received throughout the community. Now, putting a bow on the power conversation, there's a very, very interesting section in this week at Bungie, Brent, in regards to the Crucible. There's a lot of really meaty stuff here to discuss. So just on the Crucible for a minute. So I've spent a lot of time in the Crucible over the last few weeks, Brent. I've come to really, really enjoy my time in there, specifically in the competitive playlist. It's very tense. It's very competitive. There are some skilled people in the Crucible, especially when it comes to the competitive playlist. So I enjoy the challenge, enjoy the competition that playlist provides, and it lives up to its name as the competitive playlist. So there's lots of super cool quests associated with the competitive playlist in regards to like the Mountaintop, Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten. You can grind through your Redrix's Broadsword quests in there as well. There's things to get. So there's lots of god tier level weapons available to you if you choose to get in there and brave the wilds of the competitive playlist in the Crucible. So that said, though, there's lots of things that the community's been commenting on and things that they want addressed. So Bungie made note of almost all of them in this week at Bungie. So there's some things we need to discuss here. So let's jump into this, Brent. So I know you'll like this first one. Many of you are expressing feedback around matching solo against fire teams, matching high glory teams against lower glory teams, and have many other suggestions regarding how progressing through the ranks should be changed. The appropriate teams are investigating possible changes to be included in a future update. We will have details for you as soon as we can. So at the very least, Brent, they are aware of what the community has delivered them in terms of feedback on matchmaking. So we talk about it a lot when we get in there, getting matched up as a team of two, or even as a solo player against a full fire team of clanmates. It's tough, man. It's tough to persevere and get out on the other end of that. Now, that doesn't excuse when we lose to 4 randoms, but that's not what we're talking about in the update here. We're talking about matching against those teams. It more often than not, we lose to 4 randoms. So this is not a rare occurrence. That's just how we roll. So there are some changes though that are coming in the immediate future in regards to power ammo spawns. Once again, this is a huge deal in the community. Based on feedback, says Bungie, we will be lowering the amount of power ammo available during matches by increasing the time between power ammo spawns. So in the competitive playlist for Control and Clash, the initial power timers will remain the same, but that respawn timer goes from 45 seconds all the way up to a whopping 120 seconds.
Damn.
In Survival, initial timers will stay the same, and the respawn timer will go from 45 to 60 seconds. Obviously, Survival rounds are very quick and fast-paced, so it makes sense that would be a little bit of a smaller bump. But, dude, that's significant. That is a significant bump in time. And one of the things the community has, the reason they've delivered this feedback is because obviously power weapons are extremely powerful. Things like the Wardcliff coil just require little to no skill. Honestly, you just go out there, a guy stands in front of you, you shoot that thing off, and the rockets go and do their thing, and they kill the enemy. So when heavy ammo spawns as often as it does in the competitive playlist right now, it can be frustrating because it basically becomes all about what team can get to the power ammo first, what team can hold down the power ammo, and sometimes it's less about your skill with a special or a primary weapon. So that's really the whole crux of the conversation about the power ammo. So I get that, and that's not to say that power ammo is not fun. It's incredibly fun. Like if you're the one that gets to that brick and you load up your ward cliff coil and you decimate the 3 or 4 dudes that are in front of you with that thing, that's a great feeling. But what they're trying to do is limit the amount that controls these competitive matches. They want that to be a factor, but not the only factor in how these matches play out. So on the rotating playlist, Showdown, the respawn timer has gone from 30 to 60 when it comes to power ammo. And in Rumble, the initial timer once again stays the same, but it has increased the respawn timer from 60 to 120 seconds, like a couple of these other modes. So Brent, let me get your thoughts on this, man. Thoughts on the power ammo economy in the competitive playlist. Are you on board with these changes? Do you agree with the community in terms of what's been going on in this playlist?
I like competitive because it focuses. It's all about skill. It's all about skilled players. And I'm gonna comment on what Jacob said here because it's going to tie into why I do like it. He says, I honestly didn't like this. It just gives them more of a reason to lock down heavy and stay there for the match. Sure, yes, there will be teams that are going to surround the heavy, waiting for it to show up. But you know what? You're on a team too, and if your guys are good, if you have skill, it shouldn't be a problem wiping out that team, and then you hold it down. I mean, these games are typically slow paced. Anyways, it's not like there's more coordination, there's more calling stuff out because you're playing with the crew. And if people are going to lock that thing down, they're sitting ducks. You know where they're at. You know where the heavy's going to spawn, so you have the advantage. They're sitting around it. You just flank them, do what you got to do to take them out. And that comes down to skill. And that's why I'm glad they're actually increasing the time with the heavies, because this increases more time where people have to rely on their skill with their actual weapons, the energy and the kinetic weapons, and not heavy. I like that a lot. Don't get me wrong. I love heavies. Okay, I love power weapons. I think, like you said, they're a lot of fun, and they can be a good time, especially like in quick play and in Iron Banner. But in competitive, I want it to be about skill. Okay, I don't want to have to lose because there's some teams grabbing the heavy over and over again. If there's a long period of time, yeah, it might be a king of the hill situation, but it's going to come down to skill. And you're still going to have to kill them, regardless if they're surrounding the heavy or they're not. But if they're surrounding the heavy, guess what? You know where they're at. You have the advantage. Take them out.
Yeah, and with a 2-minute timer, you can't just stand in front of the heavy for 2 minutes.
No,
your team's, like you said, going to be sitting ducks, grenades chucked ad nauseum to the power level. You're just going to sit back with a scout rifle, just pick these guys off. Whatever the case may be, you can't just stand around the power ammo for 2 minutes and just expect it to spawn and hold it down. Like you're gonna get wiped out. So it will encourage people to get better with their primaries and their secondaries. So I think that's a good change. It's a very, very highly requested change from the competitive community. So it's good that they are taking a look at that. So let's get into some of this other stuff now in terms of the Crucible, Brent. So that's the stuff that's kind of coming down the pipeline in the near future here. But Josh Hamrick jumped on here. And
he went deep, dude. He went into a lot of stuff.
He had a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things that the community's been talking about. One of the interesting things he mentions, too, is that what Bungie's trying to do now, moving forward with Destiny, is, and we've noticed this, there's updates, quite often right now in the game. There's new updates almost every week sometimes, it seems like. But they are bringing out updates more often and trying to move away less from the big, huge updates that have a ton of different changes in it, a ton of different sandbox changes in it. They're trying to bring us more consistent changes to address things like this on the fly, to address things like what's going on with a piece of armor or a weapon or a super, whatever the case may be. They're trying to get in there and tinker with this stuff kind of little by little instead of in one big chunk. So I do like that. I think for a living, breathing game like Destiny that's constantly evolving, I think that is the way to go in terms of updating this game. And it sounds like every now and then we'll still get some like big changing, some big updates that will come in the midst of all these smaller ones. But it sounds like the one that they're planning for the end of January is going to be a significant update once that one comes around. But let's get into what Josh is talking about here, Brent. So first item on the docket, can you buff snipers? So these are questions from the community. Can you buff snipers? We would really like flinch to be reduced and to have more lower zoom scopes. Josh had this to say: snipers are definitely one of the archetypes we are actively looking at and making changes to. For example, later in January, this is the update I was referring to, rapid fire snipers will be moving to a 2-shot body kill, which is awesome. Those things are going to be much more useful in the Crucible if you can rapidly fire 2 shots to the body and take out a Guardian. That's a big change. Additionally, we're considering allowing more snipers to be able to one-shot supers on headshots in a future patch. And I was listening to a video from I think it was Astacross, and he basically said that, look, if you are able to get a headshot on somebody in a Nova Warp with your sniper, you should be rewarded with that kill. Because that's extremely difficult to do. So if you are skilled enough with a sniper rifle to be able to pull a headshot off on somebody rocking their super, I agree. You should be rewarded with that kill. Only on precision shots, though, not body shots.
No.
So lower zoom scopes do exist in the game, but have not been particularly prevalent with post-Forsaken weapons that have been largely limited to a few weapons such as the Supremacy. We'll be increasing the number of them in the game as we move forward. We don't currently have plans to alter Sniper Flinch anymore at this time, but we will continue to keep an eye on your feedback. I know that's been an interesting topic in the community, Sniper Flinch, but it doesn't sound like they're looking to do anything else with regards to that. Brent, the lower zoom scopes are highly sought in the Crucible. Obviously, we have smaller maps that we're dealing with in the Crucible. To be able to have that lower zoom scope highly increases your chance of landing those coveted precision kills. Do you like what we're hearing here about snipers? Do you agree with what Josh is talking about?
I do, and I want to ask you something, dude. How often do you use snipers in Crucible? Honestly,
I don't, because I'm not good with them.
I will always up to this point, I would always take a linear fusion rifle over a sniper.
Yeah.
Every time. Whether it's Crooked Fang or Sleeper Simulant, I feel like I'm more lethal with a linear fusion rifle at range than I am an actual sniper rifle in this game. The fact that some of these are going to start doing 2-shot body kills, I will be more inclined to use that now. I mean, I'm pretty good with precision when it comes to like assault rifles and hand cannons, but sniping is very difficult. It's not easy, and as it should be. And that's one thing I like about sniping in Destiny is it's not easy like it is in Call of Duty and those other games. I mean, this game is very difficult, but yeah, I do like the fact that precision kills should drop somebody in their super, especially if you got a powerful sniper rifle. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, if you got a high-impact sniper rifle and you pop somebody in the head, they're in their super or not, you should be rewarded with that kill. So I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, Jacob said it too. He said, like, seriously, I love snipers, but in this meta, they're whack. And these are the changes they need to make sniper rifles. Because, man, I'm telling you right now, man, 99 times out of 100, I'm going to go with the linear fusion rifle for range as opposed to a sniper rifle every time.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. But it's going to be very enticing, though, if rapid-fire snipers can now drop with a 2-shot body kill.
I'll really think about it now.
Yeah, think of some of those maps with the bigger lanes in them, or like Eternity or something like that. When you jump into that map, if you're going to be able to 2 body shot Guardians from across the map, that's very, very enticing. So very curious to see when they implement that. Next question on the docket is Nova Warp with 800 question marks after it. Josh had this to say, yep, the Nova Warp Super is too dominant right now. We are planning to tweak it. It's currently slated to land with a patch coming in late January. So what that means is I need to get my rocks off now with Nova Warp in the Crucible. I've got to go in there and have my fun with it because I don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. Now, look, I play as a Warlock. I get it. I hate when other people use that super against me because it is just ridiculous. It lasts a super long time. The blast radius is exorbitant. I mean, you just run around the map. You can kill everybody with not too much skill. It's very easy to dominate people with Nova Orb. It is a Crucible super. Outside of the Crucible in the PvE, it's not as it's not as dominant, I think, as we might like to see in that setting. But in PvP, Brent, this is a god level super. I mean, this thing, every time you see this thing pop, you run. You get the hell out of there as fast as you can. And most of the time, you're not fast enough to outrun this thing. So Nova Warp is absolutely dominant, and it lasts forever. I mean, you'll die and come back to life, and you're like, that guy's still in his super. He's still killing people. In fact, he's about to kill me again. Oh, there I go. I just died again.
Seventh column.
Yeah, I'm single-handedly giving a guy the 7th column with Nova Warp. So I get this, man. It does need to be touched. The big question is, what do they do? Do they lower the blast radius? Do they simply just lower the length of time that this thing lasts? I think both of those things are on the docket. We'll have to see what becomes of this. But what's your thoughts on Nova Warp, dude? I know you've been killed by this before.
I've been killed by it before, but I've also used my super to take out the Nova Warp guy when he's in it. So I mean,
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think if anything, it's the length of time. That's how I feel like a lot of the supers are. You know, they're either not like, you know, especially like Golden Gun. Sometimes I was like, man, this thing just doesn't last long enough, or others run way too long. I don't particularly mind or the damage that they do. They're a super. They should be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the length of time is always, I feel, is going to be the key thing they have to adjust for any of these supers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so there's any number of ways they could go with this. Maybe it takes more of your super energy down as you kill people. Like maybe that makes it go faster. Maybe they just simply increase the rate at which the super drains. Maybe they change the time of it and bring out a new exotic that works with Nova Warp to increase the time, but you have to give up your exotic slot for that. Like I don't know. There's any number of things that they can do to look at this, but I'll be curious to see what it looks like. But not until late January. So until then, we got 2 months of domination as warlocks. So let's take this in and just live in the moment, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, something more up your alley, Brent. Spectral Blades. So as we know, that got a buff recently. You've been using it, enjoying it. Other people have been using it, enjoying it. But hit detection, much more consistent now with Spectral Blades. The question to Josh: can Sentinel and other melees get the same treatment? Josh said, we definitely want all melee supers to feel as good and reliable as possible. This is something we are still looking into. Brent, how good do Spectral Blades feel right now?
I love Spectral Blades, dude. I mean, I've been using Blade Barrage for a long time, and once we got our second subclass, yeah, that's the one I love using. I love using it in Gambit. I love using it in Crucible. If you do it right and you plan your attacks, you can be very lethal with Spectral Blades. You can be a pain in the ass, and it's fun just taking down a whole crew when they don't like. I'll pop. I was playing on I can't remember the map. It escapes me. It's one of the ones from Destiny that they brought back for this one. It's got the circular room in the middle.
Yeah, the convergence.
I think that's what. Yeah. And dude, I mean, like you pop it and you just seriously sit and wait, and you just see them. Like you get close to them, and then you just wait to see the whole crew move up, and you just boom, 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 boom through the whole crew, and you take them all. I mean, it's incredibly rewarding. It's satisfying as hell. I love Spectral Blades. So yeah, big fan of Spectral Blades.
Yeah. So Sentinel players, they want that. They want that feeling that hunters have.
They don't need it.
That hunters have when they pop their Spectral Blade super. So we will see what becomes that. You know, funny story, Brent. You were talking about Spectral Blades here. So one of the forget what day it was. Was it Tuesday? Maybe it was. I think it might have been Tuesday. But one of the days I was putzing around in the Dreaming City waiting for you to hop on. And you hopped into the match and joined me. I just happened to be at the blind well. There was a bunch of people there. Yeah. I was like, all right, well, let's just do the blind well. So I hop in with these guys, and you know, I think we were in the middle of like a tier 2 activity.
It was tier 2, yep.
We knocked that out quickly. Then some guy had a tier 3.
That was me.
Yeah, you had the tier 3 activation. Yeah. You activated tier 3, so we proceeded to go and wipe that out. And at the end of the tier 3, we got a Seed of Light. For the last 3 months. We've been like, man, it would be nice to be able to get the rest of our supers, and just on a whim, just in like the first 5 minutes of us playing, we were about to grind Gambit for a few hours, and we ended up just at the blind well. Not only doing that, but we did it multiple times. We did heroic versions of the blind well, like things we had never done at the blind well before. The blind well rocks.
I love the blind well. Big fan.
That activity is a lot of fun. So we got the Seeds of Light. You got Spectral Blades. I got Nova Warp finally. Now we got to get in there and finish the deal and get these last couple supers on the docket for us. But back to the Crucible here with Josh. A lot of the pre-Forsaken subclasses feel underpowered now. Can they get buffed is the community question. Josh had this to say: yes. We have some planned buffs coming to older subclass paths in the patch currently slated for late January, but we are already looking ahead to what we'd like to do in patches further down the line. We will be looking into tuning subclass content to ensure that there's a healthy balance of viable. We will be regularly looking into tuning subclass content to ensure that there's a healthy balance of viable choices in all activities. We use a combination of data and community feedback to track the right things to fix. So please continue to surface which choices feel the least viable to help guide us. So Brent, from your perspective, what's going on with the pre-Forsaken subclasses? Do you feel like they need some help? And specifically from the hunters, like which would you like to see them kind of tweak with a little bit?
Man, I just can't stand the Arc subclass. So anything in that, anything in Arc Strider, anything in the Arc subclasses, they can make it somewhat appealing. That's where I'd like to see them make the changes. But I mean, right now, dude, Night Stalker is probably my favorite one. I love, whether I'm using Shadow Shot or if I'm using Spectral Blades, I just love it. I love that class. Blade Barrage is nice. Golden Gun will always be my baby. But yeah, I haven't found myself using those very much. And that's just because, we just unlocked these new ones. Like, I want to use these. But, the more we play and unlock other stuff and we start doing these new raids, we're going to have to start looking at some of these other subclasses. I'm sure the Shadow Shot's going to come in useful in the raid at some point. I just ranked my Orpheus rigs. I got those up to like 590 now.
Nice.
So those, I need to make those relevant again. And that's one of the things that I made them. I don't know why I did it, but when Forsaken came out, I started putting such a focus on all the new weapons and all the new supers. And just recently, when I was working on the Breakneck, I was like, man, I need an energy assault rifle. So I went into the vault, and there's my Kaibu, and I ranked that thing up to 600. And now I'm using older weapons again. I'm like, man, I really miss this gun. Yeah, it doesn't have all the cool rolls on it, but man, it was an effective gun. It's got the dragonfly on it, and it's precision kills are killing everybody. Explosions, like, man, this is really useful, especially in Gambit. And it's just like, maybe I need to start revisiting some of these older guns and stop being so stingy and stubborn and focusing on the new stuff. I really do need to tap back into some of those old weapons, man.
Yeah, no question, man. There are some old weapons that are still very useful. The raid weapons in particular from the Leviathan are most of those are very viable in the game still. I use Inaugural Address all the time. It's still one of the best pulse rifles in the game. It's got Outlaw and Kill Clip on it, so it's just a sick combination on it. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of good weapons from year one that we can go back to that still I think can be useful in the game here as we sit today. So yeah, that's just thinking, man. We did a lot of stuff since we last did the show. We didn't even talk about we completed the Shattered Throne, and you talk about Night Stalker, but how useful was Night Stalker in that activity?
Oh,
it was the difference between us beating that activity and not beating the activity.
Yeah, it was really difficult.
Yeah, so we needed Night Stalkers. The Shattered Throne, by the way, is freaking awesome.
Yeah,
loved that activity. Was super excited we got to experience that with the last Curse week in the Dreaming City. Can't wait to try that thing again. We've got Wish Ender to obtain now, so definitely looking forward to getting back into that. But yeah, we did a lot of stuff this past week, man.
We went crazy during the last week of like where the Dreaming City was cursed. We got a lot done. I actually went through and completed an Ascendant challenge on my own. Just went through made it through one of those, beat one of those finally, and it's just like, and see, man, and not to go back to the subject, but that's the thing, man. That's what I love about. I couldn't do the Shattered Throne right away. I had to grind, and get to it, and finally I got to it. That's how I feel about the Forges. Can't get to it right away, but I know it's awesome. I know it's going to be fun, and I grind, and I'm going to go into it. But anyways, continue.
Dude, in fact, that was the day we did the Blind Well. So the plan was to play Gambit. So we were going to do Gambit, like work towards the Breakneck. I was waiting for you to get on and was doing the Blind Well. You hopped in. We got Seeds of Light and started doing stuff. We're like, all right, this is really cool. Once we finished that up and everybody left, it was like, dude, it's a Curse week. We've never tried Shattered Throne. Like, why don't we do that?
We tried to 2-man it. That was Saturday night. We tried to 2 minutes Saturday night, and then on Sunday we had Trevor in there, and he helped us get through because we had the third. Yep. And dude, it was awesome. And he was using Shadow Shot, and that was really nice to have in that room with the three nightmare type knights, those big guys. And that was really intense. But having Shadow Shot, and it was nice because it kept creating orbs because he was using Orpheus rigs. We had lots of orbs. Very, very useful still, man.
Yeah, and we used it a lot in the ogre battle as well.
Yes.
So it just keeping those groups together and killing those wizards. So but yeah, Shattered Throne is awesome. If you have not played, I definitely recommend getting in there with the next Curse update. All right, but moving on. Any changes to the top exotics being used in the Crucible, like One-Eyed Mask, Shards of Galanor, etc. So Shards of Galanor, Brent, just disgusting. Blade Barrage, just disgusting in general. That super is extremely powerful in all aspects of the game. But that's actually one of the things, going back to Nova Warp, and you mentioned it. But that's actually one of the things I like about the way supers are right now is there's a lot of strategy that has to go into when to use your super, especially in the competitive playlist. Like you have to pay attention to when you're gonna pop your super, and like, if I pop my Nova Warp, I can't tell you how many times I've popped a super, not paid attention to the fact that the other team has a blade barrage, and
Uh,
as soon as I pop it, the guy's waiting there for me to just destroy me. So I'm like, all
it's
right,
so
I need to
good
pay
too.
more
It's
attention to that.
and the thing is, you're on my team, and I still laugh. I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, I hope we win, but I do get
Yeah.
a kick out of seeing that. Or when I think there was one time we were playing with Bender, and we were playing in a match, and like it just says, Bender pops Stormcaller, and then immediately after Bender is killed. I was like, you sorry ass warlocks.
Yeah, but I digress. So Shards of Galanor getting that blade barrage energy back. One-eyed mask, very dominant. One of these Titan exotics. Titans, just a pain in the ass in general, right now. But one-eyed mask, not only does it reveal where you're at on the map once you get a kill with that thing, but it also gives you an overshield. So the thing is just is it's absolutely ridiculous. But Josh had this to say: these exotics get talked about quite a bit. And while I don't have any immediate incoming changes to share, I expect they will be getting looked at in the future. So, Brent, if I'm reading through the lines of that, it sounds like for the time being, these things are going to stay the way they are, and you just got to keep people who are going to be able to keep taking advantage of it. So be it. They're exotics. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, one-eyed mask is nasty.
I think it's all right. I think it's good.
Now here's a big topic of conversation: the Telesto. So this thing,
Oh yeah.
this thing is absolutely out of control in the Crucible. So the community question reads as follows: Telesto is currently besto. Can you tone it down or move it to the power slot? This has been the plea from the community. Either A, tone this sucker down so it doesn't just destroy our life the minute we lay eyes on it, or it's so powerful, why not move it to the power slot? That could be a big change for it. Josh had this to say: late in January, you will find that Telesto's bolts to kill will now match its charge rate, where it was previously doing more damage than other fusion rifles of its type. That said, due to it being affected less by damage fall-off due to its explosive nature, it will still be more consistent than fusion rifles of the same charge rate. Worth noting, PvE damage will be increased to keep parity there. Once we see how these changes land, we can decide if and what to do next. The goal still being to buff where we can, but when we have to nerf, you're going to find us trying to inch down instead of going nuclear, at least as much as we can. So, Brent, what's your thoughts on Telesto, man? Specifically in the Crucible. So that's where Telesto is being used.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, in PvE, there's so many good exotics. It's hard to give your exotic slot away to Telesto in that setting right now. But in PvP, this weapon's so disgusting that it's basically a sin if you use this weapon in the competitive playlist right now. At least at the higher tiers.
Yeah.
Like if they see somebody using the Telesto, they're like, dude, you suck. You just absolutely suck. So, what's your thoughts on Telesto, man?
First of all, Insanity, VOX, Insanity's in the chat, said, what's up, everybody? A little
Insanity?
under the weather, but still beat the Forge 3 times. That's awesome. That's impressive.
I'm completely healthy, and I can't even step foot in the activity. So, congratulations, Insanity.
I like what he said. They're not. When they want to keep everything powerful, but when nerfing, they want to inch. And I really think it's just those the particles that explode that do damage. I think those are the things they need to adjust. It's a fusion rifle, so if you get hit with a direct shot, yeah, you should be dead. It should be or incredibly wounded. But I think it's just those particles that are laying around when people run into it. I don't feel like those should be killing people. I mean, damaging a little bit, yeah, but I just feel like that's the part of it that needs to be tweaked just a little bit.
Yeah. The main issue with Telesto, Brent, I think is what they mentioned here with the damage fall off. So the thing is, if you watch some of these tests on Telesto from a pretty lengthy distance across the map, you could fire that weapon on somebody, and obviously all of your bolts aren't going to hit your target,
Right.
but your bolts at a distance do the same damage they do when you're right up next to them. So
Right.
in the mid to like longer mid ranges, Telesto is dominant.
That's true.
If you lay that gun on your opponent in any way, shape, or form, they will die. whether it's
Hmm.
by the explosion or by the initial burst. So up close and in that initial like mid range, fusion
Hmm.
rifle should absolutely eviscerate you with one shot. That's how it should be.
Hmm.
But the problem is not only are Telesto's bolts more powerful than other fusion rifles of its same class,
Hmm.
but there's no damage fall off because of the explosions. Then you add the explosions into the mix, you just get a sick, disgusting weapon that is dominant
So you basically
in
get
the
a
Crucible.
fusion rifle with the perks of a linear fusion rifle. You get the incredible
Basically,
range,
yeah.
and yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, I can see
And
that
it
being an issue.
and it has a pretty low charge time. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like 760 charge time. So that thing
Hmm.
fires off pretty quickly in relation to its other fusion rifle brethren. And what happens is the lower that charge rate, the lower your bolts are supposed to damage. But
Hmm.
Telesto, I mean I get it, it's an exotic, but it's a little too dominant in the Crucible. So there's a very fine line they're gonna have to walk here to make this thing useful in a PvE setting, but also tone it down a little bit in the Crucible. So bringing that damage rate down to its charge rate, we'll have to see how that kind of switches things up. So I'll be curious to
Hmm.
see if that's the change that we need. Scout rifles still feel weak in both PvP and PvE. Can they come up? This is another archetype we are looking at, and I would currently expect to see changes show up in future patches. So they're looking at this. They actually just buffed the high impact scout rifles, and those seem like they're pretty good.
Hmm.
Jade Rabbit, Polaris Lance, and any of the other scout rifles that fall into that archetype.
Hmm.
They can three shot any guardians now with critical shots. So they seem like they're in a pretty decent spot, but maybe the rest of the scout rifle classes can be looked at. What about your thoughts though, Brent? I know myself personally, I don't find myself using scout rifles like I did in Destiny 1. What's your thoughts on their current state, and what would you like to see from them?
One of the changes they made to it, I found the distant relation to be pretty reliable in Gambit now.
Hmm.
Because it has full auto, but landing those precision shots was pretty lethal. So that's like the first like scout rifle I've started using in a while. That's actually pretty lethal.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's unclear exactly what they're looking at with this, but is distant relation, is that a high impact scout?
I believe it has some impact to it. I can check here just to make sure, but I
Gotcha.
believe that's the one I was using. But go ahead, keep talking. I'll look this up.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm curious if maybe if the high impact scouts are in a good spot, maybe it's just the rest of them that need to be looked at. But
Hmm.
I'm not entirely sure what they're looking at now at that because they have tweaked those scout rifles in patches recently. In terms of submachine guns, could SMGs get a non-precision damage buff? We just recently buffed the range on SMGs to make them more competitive. We'll be monitoring the data and feedback for a bit to help us decide where to take them next. If we find that they still aren't good enough, we'll be happy to buff them further.
Hmm.
I do think that's probably something you need to look at. I obviously the anti-ope D was a dominant weapon in year one of Destiny 2, but since then SMGs get little to no play in the Crucible, and it's
I
probably
never use it. I
yeah
never use SMGs.
yeah I don't use them very often either, so definitely something you need to take a look at. Can fusion rifles get buffed? Maybe longer range or higher damage to combat shotguns. This is another archetype we are looking at, and I would currently expect to see changes show up in future patches. We did bring the damage of rapid fusion rifles. We did bring up the damage of rapid fusion rifles in last week's update. So we'll keep our eye on fusion rifles. Any
Hmm.
plans to adjust Wave Splitter, which is a sweet weapon and also a dominant crucible weapon, is not at the top of our list, but we do intend to take a look at it. First, we want to look at the global ammo economy for trace rifles in PvP, and then we can take a look at Wave Splitter's effectiveness. So this is something they've been kind of tweaking a lot recently. Brent, is the ammo economy for trace rifles. I think you get 50 rounds or something when you pick up a brick right now with
Hmm.
that, or that's your starting ammo loadout with the trace rifles. So it remains to be seen what they're going to do with that and how they're going to tweak that. But we'll see what they do with Wave Splitter after that. But doesn't sound like this one is anywhere at the top, near the top of their things to do.
Hmm.
And then we have some stuff about Titan skating on PC and if they plan to remove it. We'd like to fix this, however, we're being careful about how we do so because it's so closely tied to the core feel of the lift ability. So if you are on PC and Titan skating is bothering you, doesn't sound like it's gonna be fixed anytime soon. I don't even know what Titan skating is, but there you go. I hear this term thrown around a lot, and I do not know what Titan skating is, Brent. Do you?
No, I don't. If Dark Shadow Wolf is in here, I'm sure you could tell us, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not heard of this.
Something to do with the movement of the Titan, I guess. I don't know. I gotta read a little bit more into that. So to recap, we want to roll out smaller batches of patches more frequently. We want to bring things up whenever possible, but when we do need to bring something down, we're going to try and inch it down and into the correct location. And finally, there is a patch coming, currently slated for late January. We expect you to see some changes coming to things like rapid fire snipers, Telesto, Nova Warp, and pre-Forsaken subclasses, and we have much more planned for the months ahead. So,
Cool.
Brent, it sounds like to me that Bungie's got their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community when it comes to the Crucible. Like, this is all the stuff that I read about on a daily, weekly basis. It's all the stuff I've experienced in the Crucible. So whether it's planned for an update in the near future or something that's going to come down the line, at some point, whatever your issue is in the Crucible, it sounds like it's on the docket. It's just a matter of them getting to it. In this January update, it sounds like it's going to be a big one, at least in terms of the sandbox. So be on the lookout for that. All right, so moving on from there, let's touch on this briefly, Brent. So the raid went live today.
Yes, it did.
The raid went live, Scourge of the Past, and it has been conquered today. So this will not be a last wish situation where we're sitting here 19 hours in wondering if somebody's going to beat this thing. But Scourge of the Past was conquered in right around the 2-hour mark. So that puts it right in line with we were talking about this, Brent. Obviously coming off of Last Wish, which lasted 19 hours. It's very it's like, whoa, okay, this one only took 2 hours to complete. So clearly this is a much different kind of raid. But this actually puts it right in line with Wrath of the Machine, which was completed at about the 2-hour mark as well. And that was such a cool raid. I loved Wrath of the Machine. I wish we could have played it more, but that was a really, really good raid. So and it's funny because prior to Scourge of the Past even coming out, that was the raid Bungie compared this to. They were like, this is going to be Wrath of the Machine style combat in a brand new setting in the last city with some sparrow racing in there. So it's funny that the time to complete was basically neck and neck with Wrath of the Machine when all was said and done. But from obviously I haven't watched the raid or anything like that. I don't do that. I like to get in there and try to experience it for myself. But from what I've read of people who have played it, their reaction seems very positive, as is typically the case with raids. People say it's a lot of fun. It does have that balls to the wall, Wrath of the Machine style combat. It's a cool new setting. It's got some sparrow activities in it. So I'm really looking forward to the day that we get in here and give this one a try, man. Because obviously, raids are super cool to take part in. The world's first. Obviously, they got the championship belt to go along with their title, and anybody that completes the raid this first weekend will have access to that sweet raid jacket. Which, man, I'd really like us to have access to one of these at one point. But to have a raid jacket for completing the raid that first weekend, that's pretty cool, man. You get a new emblem with that as well. So some cool rewards to those of you that partake in the raid this weekend. Brent, man, when are we gonna get into Scourge of the Past? This thing sounds pretty sick.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully after the Last Wish.
Yeah. Which we also we're lagging behind when it comes to raid activities, man. And I'm pretty disappointed in us when it comes to that. We need to get on the ball with that.
We're gonna start making moves. We're gonna start making moves over the holidays when things kind of slow down, and we'll hop on. We'll have a week. We'll just designate a week, raid week, and we're gonna just get our crew together and say, look, here's what we're doing. We're not gonna podcast. We're not gonna do tower talk. We're just gonna raid all week, and then we'll come back and tell you about our victory. But no, there was one guy on Twitter mentioned who likened this raid to a Michael Bay film, and I was like, I can get down with that. A lot of action and some cool mechanics. So yeah, I'm excited to try it out, dude.
Yeah, if it's anything like Wrath of the Machine, man, Wrath of the Machine was really fun. So this sounds like it's a pretty fun raid, and I'm okay if the raid doesn't take 16 hours to complete. Like
I prefer that not take 16 hours.
If it takes these world first guys 2 hours to complete this activity, it's gonna take us about a week. So it's good to know that it's doable. We'll set aside a few days to try and complete this one at some point. All right, final item on the docket here, Brent. We gotta talk about the Dawning. The Dawning goes live on Tuesday, and amongst ourselves, we've been talking a lot about Festival of the Lost.
Yep.
Great event, great activity, a lot of fun. Brought us the horror story. It was really It was certainly the best event that we've had in Destiny 2 so
Oh yeah.
far in the Forsaken Age. Um, the Solstice of Heroes was a great end to Destiny 2 Vanilla before Forsaken started. But Festival of the Lost was a great event. It brought us a fun activity in the Haunted Forest. We got an ultra powerful weapon to help us level up. We got obviously a bunch of new stuff from in terms of cosmetics that we have access to. So lots of cool stuff that came out of Festival of the Lost, and the Dawning, from what it sounds like, is going to pick up right where that left off. So
Yep.
Eva Levante is returning to the tower, so we will have her as the vendor for this activity. Um, and then this is what's going on in the Dawning. So the return of something familiar can be like a welcome visit from an old friend. This year's Dawning is no exception. Our dear friend Eva Levante, who was instrumental in bringing the traditions of the Dawning to the tower, returns with it. Eva's fond memory of the heroes who share her home and the friends she's made in her many years there spurred her to write down some of her favorite recipes and recall stories of Dawning's past. This year, she'll share them with you, share them with some of her favorite guardians, and help bring the spirit of togetherness back to the tower. So here's what the Dawning is all about, Brent. It's about baking. So if you have that on your bingo card, congratulations. But so Eva has returned to the tower and brought her baking supplies with her. All players of Destiny 2 are invited to join the celebration. So that's another important thing to note. This is not gated off in any way. Any Destiny 2 player can participate in this activity. She will provide the oven and some ingredients to get you started, but you will need to go out to the world to gather more ingredients by defeating enemies and completing various activities. Once you have your ingredients, you can start combining them to create some tasty treats like Doodles or chocolate chip cookies. We'll give you a few recipes to get you started, but it's up to you to try different combinations and discover which ones turn into the most delicious cookies. Be careful. Mismatched ingredients result in burnt edges. So I don't know what's going on here, but can I get a Doodle? That sounds exceptional.
I want a Doodle.
You might be asking, what do I do with all these cookies? You're damn right that's what we're asking. Friends you've made throughout the solar system are eager to receive your baked goods as gifts. They will show their thanks by rewarding you in their own ways. There will also be bounties to complete along with your cookbook.
Nice.
Here's a preview of the rewards you'll have a chance to earn. There's some good stuff in here. Enhancement cores. Everybody needs those. Mods. Yep, we can use those. Legendary gear. And how about the Avalanche heavy machine gun featuring random rolls, which would be the featured gun for this activity. Which looks badass. I like this armor getup that's being worn as well. It looks pretty neat.
Yeah, it does.
Well, that's not all you will earn while you celebrate the Dawning. As you gather ingredients and bake items, you will also progress towards unlocking this festive new sparrow. And this like Santa sleigh sparrow is awesome, dude. I have to get my hands on that thing. Your new ride will come equipped with some very special perks. Glimmer boost. While boosting, the sparrow spawns a glimmer present every few seconds until the boost runs out. Glimmer presents burst open after a moment, so players can acquire the glimmer. This is only active during the Dawning, of course. And Glimmer Trick, when a player lands a trick with the Sparrow, 3 to 5 Glimmer presents are spawned, also only active during the Dawning. Its kind of intrinsic perk is Instant Summon, reduces Sparrow summon time significantly. That is my favorite perk to have on Sparrows. Love being able to just pull those things out instantly. Dedicated Bakers will also have Triumphs to pursue. Those who unlock all the Triumphs during the Dawning will be flying in style. So, sounds like we'll have a ship to earn as well, which we have not seen yet.
Oh, that's
Curious.
right here. Got it right here.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, it is down there. I really like that ship. It looks like a transformer.
Yeah.
Double drops will also be going on. So as with all of these activities, we'll have duplicate engrams that spawn as you level up. So you have the normal bright engram that you have available from tests every time you level up, and you'll have the dawning engram that will be available as well. So you get double ones of those throughout this activity, which starts on Tuesday and goes just until the beginning of next year. So we've got that new ship, which looks cool. We've got the ghost with the antlers, or the twigs, the snowman twigs coming out of its ears. And how about this, dude? Multiplayer emotes.
Wow.
So you can actually team up with your buddy and do like they're doing a high five in one of these. That's super interesting to see how that works. We've got the hockey emote where you throw the stick down, you take the gloves off, you're ready to fight. That one looks like a lot of fun. And then one emote that's going to be available for purchase is the baking cookies one. That one looks awesome, dude. I'm a sucker. I'm going to end up buying that because that just looks cool. I want to bake cookies and pull them out and eat them and It looks great, man. So that's everything that's going on with the dawning. It will start on once again on Tuesday and go until Tuesday, January 1st. So we'll end on the first of the year. So keep that stuff in mind. So there'll be lots of new Eververse stuff, lots of new cosmetic items to earn, and some weapons and some enhancement cores and some good stuff to partake in with the Avalanche heavy machine gun as well. And then we'll be baking cookies and participating in quests. So Brent, on the heels of Festival of the Lost, in my mind, it sounds like the Dawning is picking up where that left off. Sounds like a lot of the lessons that have been learned when it comes to these events over the years are working their way into the Dawning as well. We've got weapons to earn, which is something meaningful. We've got cool cosmetic items. We've got things like enhancement cores, which all of us are just thrilled to get our hands on. What's your take on what we're reading about the Dawning here?
You know, the one thing that I loved about the Festival of the Lost is we got a cool event to do with the Lost in the Infinite Forest, the Haunted Forest, and then we had obviously the pinnacle weapon, the horror story, which was just, you know, a masterwork 600 gun that really boosted all of our stuff. This time around, yeah, we get a weapon that looks really awesome. It's going to have random rolls, but dude, for me, honestly, the enhancement cores and the mods. Those are huge. Those are sexy. Again, now you have created an event that is typically just kind of like a skin over the game for a little while. Here's the Dawning, can do whatever, throw snowballs. Now you have an awesome-looking machine gun that's going to have random rolls, but then you've got these things that everybody wants, man, these enhancement cores and these mods. That is awesome. So now you're going to have bounties to do, stuff to do to earn all these items that we really, really need. You've just made this event relevant. Everyone's going to want to get those enhancements cores. Everyone's want to get those mods. Everyone's going to want to get the machine gun. Congratulations. You've done it again. As long as it works good and runs good and everything's fun and that sleigh is awesome, I like what they're doing with this, man.
That sleigh is definitely awesome. Like, I need that Sparrow in my life. It's going to look real good next to my Ghost Rider bike in the Sparrow garage, which, by the way, that's an awesome Sparrow. I love that thing. The Ghost Rider bike. It was super thrilled when I unlocked that thing. But yeah, dude. And I think one of the real interesting things is the Avalanche machine gun has random rolls. Yep. So if I read between the lines on that, it seems like this thing won't be quite the grind that it was to get Horror Story.
Nope.
Which was an intense kind of end of activity item to grind for in Festival of the Lost. But it sounds like we'll be able to access Avalanche multiple times. Maybe not early and often, but we'll have multiple chances to get our hands on this. So the community is going to be out there. If they see a role that they like in this thing, they're going to be grinding the Dawning, trying to make sure that they get the version of the Avalanche that they want, because you're probably going to only be able to get it for this 3-week span here. So that's going to put even more emphasis on the Dawning in this event. Obviously, we'll have triumphs to participate in, and this armor looks pretty cool. You know, it's got the kind of the snow fur that we see in winter coats and that kind of stuff. So so very, very interesting sounding activity. Sounds like I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this one, Brent, over the weeks ahead.
Yes, sir.
So, dude, that is going to do it for a very busy episode of Tower Talk. Lots of stuff going on in the world of Destiny, as is typically the case. Thanks to everybody who stopped by, joined in the chat. We love having you guys in here. Really appreciate you guys watching the show. Brent, why don't you give one final shout out to everybody we had in the chat today?
We had Jacob in there tonight. We had VOX Insanity. Hope you feel better, dude. Hope you obviously you can't be feeling too bad. He's in there knocking out the Forge multiple times. But kudos to you guys for being in here live, and then thanks to everyone else who tunes in afterwards and the on demand and checks out our videos. We appreciate your support, the thumbs ups. We really appreciate, and we want to get you guys' thoughts. If you got comments on the Forges and the changes that Bungie has made, we want to hear from you. Sound off in the comments below. We're always reading them. We're always responding to them. We want to get your guys' thoughts because this is a community game, and we love talking Destiny 2 with you guys and girls. So if you have any comments on Forges or anything we've talked about tonight and you weren't able to watch it live, shout out in the comments below, man. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. We want you guys to be a part of the conversation, so do not shy away from that. If you like what we do here on Tower Talk, like Brent said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you always know when we go live. Really means a lot to us. Follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. We do Tower Talk typically on Thursday nights after the weekly update goes live for Bungie. Last night we were watching the Game Awards, weren't able to do Tower Talk, so we knocked it out on Friday evening here. So but be on the lookout next week. We should be back in our Thursday time slot. Other than that, Brent, anything else you want to get off your chest, man?
I think that's it, dude.
Cool. Well, that is going to do it for us. Thanks again to everybody for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you guys on on the channel throughout the week, and specifically next Thursday night for Tower Talk. Have a good evening.
See you guys.